What's going on, Big Sean Gamers? It is Bencher, and today we're going to be ranking every single Treyarch Zombies character from worst to best. Honestly, let's just get it. At the bottom of our list, we have the Operators, and I don't know where to start with this. It's just horrible. It absolutely does nothing for the story. It honestly makes me less interested in the story all around. Cold War through Vanguard. I mean, it's the beginning of Vanguard, but we already know we have, the Operators, and overall, they're just really boring, and they just have nothing to intrigue you with. They say the same boring lines, which you hear about 20 billion times, especially if you play on a high round or you're using the same weapon like a normal player would use. After a while, you only have a couple of weapons that are actually viable, and you hear the same quotes over and over. When you play through the story, they don't say anything. It rather relies on outside audio, such as the other operators, like, Heck and those people like that, and then also the newer ones in Vanguard. They're really bad, and I don't know, I feel like it's lazy to just say bad, but at the same time it really just is. There's no other way to put it. I memean, they could have done something along the lines where you could play as a set crew, 4 players or whatever, and you could buy skins for them even if they're a wacky this and that. It still would have been a little bit better, a lot better actually. They just ran that route and actually gave you some sort of characters to play with. Overall, I just think they could have just done a hell of a lot better. I mean, the Operators, if they gave them actual quotes that relate to the story, it would be a little bit better in my opinion. But yeah, the Operators, they got to be at the bottom of the barrel. Second to last, we have the Chaos crew, and don't get me wrong, they're not terrible, but just the characters are meh. I mean, first we have Diego. He has got to be definitely the worst character in COD Zombies. I mean, he doesn't really add much to the gameplay. He doesn't say anything really funny, interesting, or just something philosophic, something like along those lines. He doesn't really offer anything. He always just hits on Scarlet, which after a while, it's funny at first, but after a while it just gets really annoying. He only really says quotes when, like, say you take like a very major step in the Easter egg, or maybe you drink a perk or get a bad weapon out of the mystery box. Other than that, he's just really annoying, and personally I think his voice is annoying, and I could really care less about him. Just in general, he's bad. Secondly, we have Bruno, and Bruno, he's all right. I feel like he's just a little bit better than Diego. I mean, he says a little bit more, and he actually has some funny quotes in there, and he actually has something to offer in the Easter eggs, mainly because he's a big part of them, especially on Voyage of Despair. He's in there, and he actually does have some good stuff to say, but it's not all, amazing. But overall, he's just better than Diego, but he doesn't add too much. Our next character is Shaw, and honestly, he isn't a bad character. It's more so he's just a little in there. He's not the best character, but out of all the Chaos crew, he's definitely the second one. I believe that is the best. But he could have a little bit of improvements, but he actually does pertain to the story quite a bit, and actually informs the character about what's going on. He actually has some pretty funny lines, and also overall just a good character, and he has some pretty good morals, I guess you could say. He is he's funny at times. He's not the funniest, I would say, out of all the characters, but he's just there, and he's there to help, and it's just Shaw. He's pretty cool. For our next character, though, we have Scarlet, and she's annoying, I'll admit, but she does pertain to the story, and whether you like to admit it or not, the whole trying to find your dad thing and this whole giant expediture, it just reminds me of an Indiana Jones story. It just seems cool and mysterious, but overall, she is a pretty okay character. She's kind of funny. She's kind of everything. I mean, she's annoying sometimes. Her voice gets a little bit of annoying, and she just kind of talks about her dad all the time, which gets a little bit in there in your ear, and you don't like it. But overall, out of all the characters, I would say she is the best, mainly because the story revolves around her, and it's easier to track what she's about rather than the others, and it makes it a little bit more interesting, and therefore she's the number one on the Chaos. Our next crew is the Transit crew, and Marlton by far has got to be He's really annoying at times. He does math and just won't shut up half the time. Although he is pretty interesting when it comes to the Ether story, how he pertains and comes to that, which isn't too bad. And overall, he could have been better, but at times he's really annoying, especially on the earlier maps. But once you get to Buried, he isn't half bad of a character, but he could use a lot of improvements, in my opinion. Our sixth character is Stuhlinger. There's not really much to say. He's funny. The story revolves around him, but he'd get really annoying as he argues with every other character on the group, so The next character has got to be Misty. She's alright. I mean, she can be funny at times. It's more so she kind of gets a little annoying, but less annoying than the other characters, in my opinion. I think she just works better, and overall she just adds a little bit more to the story, like pertaining with like the rumors and stuff that happen, especially on Buried. All that, just a really good character, and she's just like the the quote-unquote badass of the group, and she makes the story a little bit more funny, especially when everyone clowns on her all the time. I think that's really funny, but you know, she's pretty alright character. Our number 8 on this list has got to be Russman, and honestly I think he is a really good character. He does actually add to the story quite a bit. We didn't know it at the time, but he is a member of the Broken Arrow, and he actually does provide a lot to the story and gives a lot of balance and just everything to the group. He is really funny. He makes a lot of dumb comments about the characters, and overall just makes me laugh, and I feel like a lot of other people too. He's the one character I actually like to play as when it comes to the transit crew. I like him a little bit more than every other character, and it might not seem like he's like, you know, a main character in the story, but in reality he probably is the most important of the bunch, mainly because of the Broken Arrow group member, but also, you know, just a good character, and he has a really good story arc in my opinion. Overall, Russman got to be the best character on the transit crew.
Well, I've always liked the monster within idea. I like the zombies being us. It's like zombies are the blue-collar monsters.
Our next crew is the Call of the Dead crew, and for being a celebrity crew, they're pretty alright. Our first bottom of the barrel character, it's got to be Sarah. She is one of just, she doesn't add anything really much to the story. She's just there because she was popular back in the day. And honestly, I don't like her too much. She's just alright. Our 10th character is Robert Englund, and he is a really good actor in general, but on Call of the Dead, he acts really good. He's a funny character who provides kind of a little bit in the, you know, the whole storyline of it and the Easter egg and this and that, but they're a little bit better characters, but overall he's a really good character and I really enjoy him quite a bit. Now for our 11th, it is, oh man, it's got to be the big boy Michael Rooker. He's a really good actor, and in general everyone was super excited about him, you know, especially him being in The Walking Dead and all that. He provides some badass just comments. He's a funny guy, and overall he does add some fun aspects to the gameplay, and I really enjoy playing as him. It makes me just, I re-roll just to get him, especially him. He's a really good character. Best Call of the Dead character. Can you tell who this is? Just by that hand, it has got to be Danny Trejo. This, oh my god, this guy, he is so cool. He really does add a lot to the gameplay, and I think he's a really good actor. He's really funny in this, and also, you know, just the badass guy from Machete. I mean, who wouldn't want to play as him? He's super cool, super good character. Love him. Hey. Jessica Rose from Shadows of Evil is a really good character. I like the whole story arc with her, how she's just a murderous person who just goes on a murder spree just to get what she wants. It seems evil, but when you put it into reality of what this map is about in the story and the lore, it is a really good fit. And you might be wondering, why is she better than, you know, Danny Trejo? She does actually provide quite a bit to the actual gameplay part, and also the whole atmosphere of Shadows of Evil. I think she's a really good addition, and just all the Shadow of Evil characters are really good, but in particular Jessica, she's probably the lowest, but she's still a pretty good character and does a pretty good job at the job. Our next character is Nero Blackstone, and Jeff Goldblum, he plays him, and he plays him well. I mean, he is this magician who's just hired of his wife and ultimately just kills her. I mean, he just frames it as an accident, and he just takes advantage. I mean, he just throws a knife at her and just goes to town. Overall, he's the one character who knows what's actually going on in the story, and when you play in the map, you will hear him talk and just realize what's going on. He's read about it. He's a knowledgeful person. He's smart, intelligent, and he is a pretty cool character. He's based around Jeff Goldblum, so I mean, who doesn't like that guy? Overall, I think Nero is a good character, but sometimes his voice gets a little annoying. Our 14th character is Floyd Campbell, or, you know, the big boy Ron Perlman. They really made him look quite a bit like the actual character, and overall, it is a really fun time when you play with him. I mean, he isn't exactly like the funny kind of guy. He's the serious, you know, he literally killed some guy with some brass knuckles just because he wanted to win at boxing. Overall, he is a really nice character, and he adds a lot to the whole mystery of Shadows of Evil, and when I play as him, I'm like, alright, it's gonna be a good game, you know? Our next character is Jack Vincent, or Jackie Vincent, everyone calls him, and he's just a funny character. I mean, he is pretty devious, I would say. He kills, you know, he's a dirty cop, he kills for money, you know, all that corruption. You know, this was during the, you know, the 20s, roaring 20s, when prohibition was a thing. He was probably partake in that. Overall, he is a really nice character, and whenever I play as him, he just like cusses out the other players or cusses out the Shadow Man, and he just has one of those attitudes where he just doesn't hold back, and it's just funny to play as him. Sometimes you know, he might just be bashing to be like, you know, a giant rude person, but overall he is a really fun character to play as, and overall he is my favorite character. And when I play as him, I think it's just going to be a fun time. And you know, when you play as him, it's a really good experience, and he just brings the whole Roaring 20s and one map just all in one together. It's really nice. Our next set of characters from Mob of the Dead, and at the bottom, unfortunately, it is Sal DeLuca, and he is a really good character. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this guy is a complete badass. I mean, he just murders for fun at this point. I mean, he is a really deep and vocal character. I mean, in the story, he's just trying to figure a way out. At any point, he is willing to turn against his team just to make sure that he can survive. I mean, he is an evil person, but he is a very deep person. I said before, he's a really good character. He makes some snarky comments, but overall, in the end, he really just wants to get out of prison, as any leader would. He will stop at nothing just to, and they really capture him very well in this map, and honestly is a nice experience just playing as him. They captured the whole leader role as a prisoner very well with him, and I really appreciate the story arc with him especially. Our next character is Billy Handsome, and he is played by Ray Liotta, and man, oh man, if you don't know who that is, just Google him really quick and you'll notice him just immediately. I mean, this guy is a complete badass in this game, and he is the most murderous out of the group. He has a very deep story arc, and you can tell he wants to murder the Weasel just so he could slip away from Alcatraz Island. He will kill anybody in the group. He is the one who will turn his back, and they portrayed this kind of prisoner very well, and it really captures the whole human spirit and desperation and what they really will do very well. Our next character is the Weasel, and everybody knows him. I don't even gotta say his name. He is a very sneaky character. He got in prison because of being sneaky, and he is the outcast of the group. He's very weird, fidgety, he hears voices in his head, and overall he just knows too much, and the crew will have to kill him eventually, or at least try to continue the cycle. But if not, the Weasel is the one who finally escaped Alcatraz and the one who breaks the cycle. Overall, he is a really good character and plays a very big part inside of the Ether story, and we really have to appreciate that quite a bit. Now, the next character is Finn, and Finn O'Reilly, he is a really just gruesome character. I mean, I know everyone sleeps on him, but personally, he is my favorite. I think he is the coolest. He is very gruesome. I mean, if you can't just tell, just him stomping on his head, he is just a great character, and I just had to stop on this frame just to explain just how badass he is. I mean, the man literally stomps some head out of a zombie, just stomped it out. The top four have got to be, oh man, Premise, and our fourth character, lastly, is Richtofen. I really do enjoy him. He provides quite a bit for the story. Overall, this whole adventure starts with him realistically, and this includes Premise as well. They're all just tied in together at this last spot because they all have a special place in all of our hearts, especially the long, deep fans. We really do appreciate these characters, but Richtofen in particular, he's really interesting. I mean, he is crazy in the head. I mean, literally try to kill some guy's daughter for all sake. I mean, he is a really deep character who brings all of this dark ether and everything tied up together, even up until this point in Vanguard, all together. And the reason why they exist is because of Mob of the Dead. But Richtofen is really the brains of the whole operation, and he understands what he's doing, but he fails to keep his friends together in this group, and eventually gets them all killed, which all has to happen eventually. Our next character, it's got to be Dempsey, and he is a really interesting character. He's just like that American grade A, just super soldier kind of guy, you know, the typical strong American ideology. And over time, he really does transform from Ultimus to Primus, as you could see right here. Full, just him reflecting on himself really truly shows how he felt over time, and he's a really deep, good character. Our next character has got to be Takio. He is our number 2 in this spot. And a couple of you might be like, whoa, hold up. No. Look, I'm gonna say it. Takio, he's just a really nice overall loyal character, and he really dedicates all that loyalness throughout the years. I mean, you will hear it every single map. You will hear him talk about the Emperor, and not only is he dedicated to the Emperor, he slowly breaks that free from that and is dedicated to his friends, which is a really interesting and deep, just sort of sweet way that he actually cares about them. Slowly over time, you notice how he does this and eventually bonds with the group. It is really a interesting and creative way that he just slowly started to develop a strong bond towards his friends over time throughout the series, from Black Ops 1 all the way up until Black Ops 4. and the whole depiction of him being just this strong character really is a backbone for the team, and a lot of people sleep on him, and I'm tired of this slander, this Takio slander. He's a really good character, and I would love to see more about him and his lore, but unfortunately he is more of the slept on character. But I think his story arc is really good. The best, the number one character, if you haven't guessed already, it is Nikolai, and for a multitude of reasons. I mean, in the beginning, he's just this drunkard. Everybody liked playing as him. He was funny. You know, he complained about all 9 of his wives. Overall, a really funny character, but as he turns into his ultimate form, his younger self, you could really see how he was a good person, and in chronological order, you could see how he turns into a really good person, a selfless person. He sacrifices himself and alongside with his friends for the greater good of everything and everybody, just to make sure that the kids can be safe and the world can continue as it should. He understands that he has to accept his fate, and over time you could see he becomes selfless from selfish, which is a really beautiful way of writing it. And just to explain in general how people can change for the better and why people should, and they should understand themselves. But gamers, that's it. If you haven't already, leave a like, subscribe, all that cool nonsense. This was a lot of fun to make. It took a long time, but I will see you guys in the next one. Have a wonderful day. See ya.